What's going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I am Zombie Cartman, and today I want to talk about offerings in Dead by Daylight. Now, the offerings are items that you unlock on the Blood Web that you can use before the match starts, or, as the match starts, that will basically change the outcome of the map or certain aspects of the match itself. So, one of the things you can do is prevent sacrificial hooks from appearing, and if all of you do it, it says it stacks, so that means that the effect can be multiplied with more of those items. The same goes for the Bloody Party streamers. If 5 people used Bloody Party streamers, all 4 survivors and the killer, you would have 5 times XP, which is absolutely insane. Now, as a survivor, there's something that you want to understand, is that you want to try to maintain a certain level of stealth. So you don't want to use items that are going to increase the moonlight, and you don't want to use items that are going to decrease the dark mist. So items like this right here calls upon the entity for a brighter moonlight. As a survivor, I don't want to ever use that. In fact, I'm never going to use that. Also, I never want to use the clear reagent, which slightly lessens the dark mist. As a survivor, all that does is hurt me and my team. Same with the moonlight. You want it to be dark and you want it to be hazy, because that makes it to where all you got to do is get a little bit of distance between you and a killer and you'll just disappear. And then as the killer, you really want to have items that are going to increase the moonlight and items that are going to lessen the dark mist. So, if you've got items that thicken the dark mist, as a killer, you don't want to use those. And if you've got items that call for a darker moonlight, which I don't believe I've even unlocked any for my Myers, then you don't want to use those. And that's another thing. On the Blood Web, you don't actually have to unlock everything. You do until level 10, but once you hit level 10, the Blood Web will start kind of eating itself. And so I'm very selective when I go after the items on the Blood Web after that point. You go for one of the perks, because after, I'm not sure what level it is, but after a certain level you'll end up with 2 perks showing up at a time on your Blood Web. And once you unlock one of those, the other one immediately gets taken by the entity, and then it'll start spreading from there. So what I usually do is go for one of the perks, and then I'll go and start unlocking items on the Blood Web that I think are really valuable. Obviously I tried to go for the tuft of hair, and when I unlocked this, the entity took it, which was too bad. But once I see that all the good items are gone, I'll go for XP boosting items, and then items that are somewhat useful as far as offerings. But if you have to choose between one item or another on the Blood Web, you should really start paying attention to the items that you don't actually need and try to avoid those. Like the offerings I spoke of at the beginning of this video, you don't have to buy them, you don't need them. And also with the offerings, one last thing, if you're running Survivor, one of the things a lot of people will do is on their item they'll run a brand new part, which I don't actually have, but for the sake of argument we'll throw a crazy toolbox on there. Normally you can get it's like a pink gear that you can get, and it's called the brand new part, and it makes it to where you can start a generator really fast. And if you're going to use something like that, then you want to use an offering that's going to give you a boost to your objective category, because turning on a generator is going to be an objective category thing, so you're going to get points for turning on the gens. And so if you can boost those points, you'll want to do that, because there's a lot of times where you go into a match and you might die somewhat early. So being able to boost the first thing you do, which should be getting on a generator, is somewhat valuable, and you'll want to pay attention to that. Basically, like if you plan on, if you have a daily ritual to take people off the hook, then you'll want to start setting a boost for your altruism, because you're going to be doing a lot of taking people off the hook. And obviously if you've got one to survive, and if you're just optimistic in general, you should try to set your 50% boosts for survival. And if if you're playing with randoms and you don't think you really have a chance of doing anything great, you should always just try to go back and set one of these 25% boosts, because as you can see with my stuff, they do start to stack up, and there's really no need for that. Like, you should be trying to use some sort of offering every single match. There's a lot of matches that I connect to where you don't see that. You'll see maybe one or two. Sometimes I connect to a match and you only see mine, and I'm guilty of it. Sometimes you don't see any, because I don't do one either. But anyways, I just made this video to hopefully help you guys out with the offerings. I know it can be kind of confusing and different, especially starting out the game. You don't really know what's going on. So anyways, I hope you found this informative and helpful, and until next time, have a good day.